Hello, I'm Dr. Mangia, and welcome to Punk Science TV. Now, this time we're going to be talking about something that you've probably heard about in the headlines, which is fast radio bursts. And so it's quite hilarious to me, the sort of shenanigans that have been going on to do with fast radio bursts. So we'll dive into it. So in 2007, a scientist called Duncan Lorimer was looking over some old data from the 1990s, and he was looking for new signs of pulsars. But what his team found was a really large burst of radio waves coming from outside our galaxy, and it was really a lot of energy. They say that it's pretty much equivalent of all the energy in our solar system came out in like a fraction of a second, and you had this huge spike. So this is sometimes named after him, the sort of Lorimer burst, Lorimer signal. Doesn't look very interesting to us, really, does it? But anyway, obviously we can leave it to the astrophysics physicists to interpret all this. And for a while, people weren't sure if this was a genuine signal from outer space, or this was just down to the microwave oven in the laboratory. But by the 2010s, 2013, that time, other people had managed to pick up these fast radio bursts, and from lots of different areas of the universe as well. So not just from one point, but from lots of different areas. So we know that these things are real. So what are the characteristics of fast radio bursts, and why have people got so excited about this? Well, they emit a huge amount of energy in a very short time, and we're talking about thousands of a second in some cases, and sometimes it's like the whole output. They say the whole output of our sun in just a year just happens in a thousands of a second, so a huge amount of energy in a short amount of time. It's coming from various places. They've even found FRBs, as they're known, in within our own galaxy. So that's something that's just fairly recent. So it's not just one particular spot. And these FRBs, from when you're looking at a particular spot, they can come as just one big burst, or they can actually repeat themselves, and that repetition can happen over seconds, days, months, or there can be just one burst as far as we know, and then we don't see a repeat. Sometimes the pattern is regular, sometimes it's not. We also see FRBs in different strengths. So explanations have been put forward, and as you can see above me, some people think that this is alien communication, and especially the sort of regular patterns, people think that that might be alien communication, and there are all sorts of ideas about what that would take, because there's so much energy that is in these bursts that somehow certain alien civilizations might have learned how to harness a lot of energy to channel into these bursts and communications. Another favourite explanation is our old friends neutron stars. So if these highly dense stars manage to circle each other and collide into each other, they can produce types of radiation. Now, bear in mind that not we haven't actually visualized directly neutron stars. People just think that they exist from the effects that they see, two different things. They are going, well, what could produce these really strong outbursts? And if you remember a previous episode, we talked about neutron stars being blamed for gravitational waves. So they go, right, it must be something very dense and not quite a black hole, but in between. And that's the idea of the neutron star. They're also thinking about something called magnetars, which are neutron stars with like a really, really intense magnetic field. And this is actually a depiction of what might be happening, that you've got these bursts of energy coming from these magnetars. So again, we haven't directly seen this happening. This is an inference, and people put these assumptions and inferences into their computer models and try to get them to do something. And when that happens, they go, fantastic, we have the answer. Um, and of course, there's the media favourite, which is that this is aliens, this is alien communication. So, um, what's really going on? Well, it's interesting that we're actually tracking some of these FRBs to find that they also have gamma ray bursts and X-ray bursts associated with them. And as you will know, these are absolute barn-door characteristics of the black hole principle. So in the black hole principle, you have the situation where you've got the light from infinity and higher dimensions coming through the dimensions, getting the edge of our reality, splitting into matter and antimatter, and combining back to light. And in that light, and that's happening at every single level of the universe. And in that light, you've got a situation where when the matter and antimatter come together, that combination can be all sorts of different types of radiation. So that can be gamma ray bursts, and it also can be radio waves. Now, why is there so much power there? Well, you've got the light of infinity there. So, and you also have this breathing process. So sometimes it goes away of matter and antimatter, and sometimes it combines again to make light. So, and that can come out in terms of gamma ray bursts, for example. So we know that also microwaves and things like that emit from black holes, and so what I'm saying is really the fast radio bursts are an aspect of this black hole principle. So you've got a lot of power emitted in a short amount of time. So that's where the light, it's being powered by infinity, which is at the center of the black hole. And so as it enters our dimension from infinity and comes to below the speed of light, you get these intense bursts. So you have these seemingly random patterns, which are emissions over seconds, hours, months, or even years. If you look at the supernova that refused to die article on my blog, you will see an example where something sort of sprang back to life again after 50 years or so. So that can happen too. So they're seemingly random patterns. And it's this breathing process of the black hole. And sometimes that repetition can be very, very rapid over seconds. Sometimes it can take longer. The FRBs are coming from all over space, which is what we'd expect in terms of the black hole principle, because it's this fractal pattern. And there are also different strengths, because we've got the black hole principle happening at different levels of the universe, and even the same source can be different energy coming out in that moment. That's what leads to the different strengths. And they're also associated with gamma ray bursts and X-rays, which, as I said, is that consequence of that antimatter, matter, and light cycle at the edge of a black hole. So you don't need any weird alien explanations for FRBs. This process, it's effortless. It's the breathing of the universe as it comes into creation. It's happening at every single level. You don't need like a situation here where it's a magnetar or a situation here where it's something else. This is all one process happening at every single level of the universe. You don't need to have one part of the universe where aliens are speaking to us and another part. It doesn't have to be so bitty. So does this mean there are no aliens out in space? No. But you don't need aliens to explain FRBs, fast radio bursts, when you understand the black hole principle. We don't know everything about this process and how it all fits together yet. We still have a lot to study, but once you know the basic mechanism, it all becomes easy. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Punk Science TV. Please subscribe and get notifications, and I shall see you very soon next time. Thank you for watching.